Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen, we're into a new week. This week is going to be a hot one. It's going to be a fun one as well. We're starting a new, well, we're doing all the prep work to start our first sprint at work this week. So we've got a shed load of meetings. It's going to be great fun. It's Monday, so I'm going for my morning walk because I go shopping in the evening. And Laura goes for a walk in the evening instead. Today, I'm going to be trying to, I think I said this, I'm uploading a video every day until I caught up. It's going to obviously take me a long time because I'm like 3 months behind at this precise moment in time. And I'm also semi-conscious of the fact that I said things about coronavirus before now, you know, when everyone was a little bit more relaxed about it. And I'm going to upload a video about me being relaxed about it, slap bang in the middle of fucking quarantine. But anyway, we'll survive that, I'm sure, we'll be fine. I'm going to level with you. It's not like anyone has any reason to watch these videos anymore, you know. Hello, Mr. Puddycat. What are you looking at? You're not interested in me, are you? Do you know I'm here? You're not going to attack me, are you little shit? Okay. So, obviously, for the past however long, these videos have been pretty friggin' boring. There's not much going on in my life in general. And I've kind of lost the passion I used to have for these videos. So I have until I caught up to reignite that passion. So we're going to try and have fun over this video. It's going to be difficult potentially because of what's going on, but we'll see what we can do, boys. I'm going to try and fall back in love with vlogging and make a good vlog for a change. I'm also like, I could batch upload videos, but every time I batch upload videos I fall behind again. So I'm making a thing to be like to-do list every single day, render one video, upload another. So I've got one in the bank, and then every morning I press upload. That's my plan of attack. That way it becomes a routine rather than something I do every weekend and then forget about one weekend and fall behind on. I've had like a bit of a reshuffle with to-do list apps and podcast apps because I get really friggin' annoyed with Spotify's podcast integration. Pisses me off. So I've reorganised my life. We're going to do it, boys. I've been productive at work, but not productive with everything else, you know. A while ago I moved from Pocket Casts to Spotify because I wanted to be able to play podcasts through the computer, and like Chromecasting or Bluetoothing to my thing was annoying, and I don't want to pay $1 a month just to use a web browser that I don't use very often to play music, to play podcasts. So, but Spotify has sync issues between devices. It's really annoying, where you play, it doesn't know what podcasts I've played on my phone when I open up the computer, so it doesn't know where I am. It's freaking, it annoys me. So I'm trying out Google Podcasts for a little bit and see what that's like. And I've also had my once quarterly reshuffle of to-do list apps and ended up exactly back where I was. Again, it's a syncing problem between two computers. But Todoist is the best one to go with. I've like reshuffled my phone because I used to have like my calendar on my phone, like full screen on a widget, but now it's just filled with work. It's less useful. So I am not doing that anymore. I've like reshuffled it all around and whatever. And it means the problem I've been doing was I've been focusing on productivity in only one respect, which makes sense when I'm working for myself. Now I've been focusing on productivity, obviously at work, but also on like just general development stuff. But I don't need to do that anymore. I can spin more plates. And just because I'm not achieving, the problem is I'm comparing what I'm achieving now to what I was achieving when I was doing it full time. Obviously that's not going to work. So it's okay to achieve less and spin more. That's what I'm going to try and do. So I'm trying to get back into the habit of using to-do lists and just being more organized and get into routines. I used to be king of productivity and I want that back. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to get at. I'm going to get it with the videos, I'm going to get at it at work, I'm going to get at development in general. I'm living the dream, boys. Living the goddamn dream. Just as a sign for how lazy I've become with this, right? This is how easy it is. I'm uploading a video there. To edit a video, all I do is go to my vlog script, write .NET run import -i, and that's the date of the first video, and then the number of days that I want it to be. So I want it to be 4 days. So the first date, oh, I've got that date the wrong way around, so it's a good job I checked that. That's got to be the same as that file. That is just a bog standard import from, what's it called? From the photo manager in Windows. I then go through all of these and I find the video where the last clip is me saying, I'll catch you later. It is that simple. And it's on the 17th, so that's 4 days in. Get to here.
I'll catch you later.
There we go. And then just to sanity check, I then check the 18th.
Boys and girls.
And just make sure that I don't say, oh, I'm just going to carry it on for one day. Something stupid like that. All right, and then do that, and then just go enter, and then I just walk away. And then all I need to do, when I come to upload it, is skim through the video to think of a title and a description. And yet, somehow I'm 4 months behind. But yeah, now I can just leave this running. And then this all gets copied from my camera folder, which is where it's all imported into the source folder where it's processing it all. I should clean this down every now and again, but I've got a lot of hard drive space, fine. And then it gets copied into the output here. And I just upload that file. Simple as that. And yeah, can't be fucked. You see, normally now what I'd be doing is writing, building up some work. So I'm currently working on extending my what's it called? My article API and stuff. I've got the empty web API. I just need to start building it up with actual methods and stuff, which in theory I'm copying from a NuGet package, which I've already got. It's the thing that's currently powering my blog. I'm putting it into a microservice and then adding functionality to it because I'm building this thing. I'm sure I've told you about. Yeah. But I'm doing this as well now. We've come shopping and it's a real pain in the ass having to do the list, pick stuff up, scan it with the thing, bag it and get the list out with only 2 hands and like no coat to put a phone in, you know? I've got like a wallet pocket and a phone pocket, but it's a pain in the ass getting, you know, phones in and out of skinny jeans pockets. Ugh. Look, so now I've got to like, this is a 2-handed job, this bit, look, because I've got to scan it or even pick that up. Oh God. Let's see how this goes, look. Treat my phone like a little baba. We had a really fun refinement session today where we had like, 2 sessions. We had refinement and a whiteboarding session to help define the definition of done. That was a hoot because we had like, it was a virtual whiteboard. We all like, put post-it notes on it and stuff. It was so much fun. It was almost like being in a room with people. That was good. And otherwise, we did a bit of refinement. We're still in kind of a bit of a lull until the sprint starts on Wednesday. We've got like a sprinkling of meetings around that stuff. But something that's quite interesting, where we work, and I was talking about this with Laura, it's quite an interesting kind of like balance. We have this system where you spend a certain amount of your time doing general improvements. So like, I think it's something like 30% of your time, or 20%, something like that, is spent doing tidy up, maintenance improvements, performance improvements, security improvements, that kind of stuff. Things that don't necessarily deliver value or features. And we have this like way of scoring each of the teams and all the applications that's kind of automatically driven. And effectively, if you drop below a certain score, you can't release features until you've got it, which is really good because it shines a light on. It's like valuing all of that stuff. It's the first place I've ever worked that actually tries to put a value on that kind of maintenance, because that kind of like reduction of technical debt. Everywhere else I've worked, they just let the technical debt build up because they can't explain it to the business. But here they've got like a metric they can show it's clever. But comes to the downside, which I spotted today. So like I'm in like this weird bit of downtime where like really I don't have anything to do because I've finished all the stuff for this sprint. Everything else we've got is on hold and like blocked. Like literally the top 10 things on the board aren't ready to be picked up until like Wednesday when we've finished planning effectively, and hopefully we'll have work to do from that point on. So I was like, I'm going to look down this score thing and have a look to see what I can do to bump some up, because there's some applications we have that are below the mark. The like team average is like supposed to be over 70, we're just under that, and then we've got like some applications that are like at a 20, and I'm like, there's a couple of things on here, on this score thing, that I could hit off. And I started to do that work, and then I messaged being like, if I put up one of the metrics is like how many long living branches you have, and I was like, this is a piece of work that's going to take me a while, but it's something I can like jump in and out of. It's relatively isolated. Fridge just got really loud, did you hear that? But then, so I said that, and I was like, what do I do with this branch? Because effectively, like the branch is going to negatively impact the board. And I don't know how long that will take me to do this because we're going to start a sprint soon, you know? This is just me kind of basically fucking about because I've got nothing else to fuck about with. And I may as well do something that adds a little bit of value. And I was told not to do that because everything we do has to have a point against it and be like prioritised and part of the sprint, effectively. Which makes sense on its core. But like, I was thinking about like all of the things that you kind of do when you've got downtime. Like it's not always like appropriate just to pick up something new and start working on that. Because that A might not be anything. The next 5 things might be blocked and that might cover all of the stuff that you've refined. Maybe like, I don't know, there's other dependencies and stuff, you know what I mean? You just can't start something that you need. But like the thing we're gonna do is almost too big to do in one sprint. So I can see it. It's going to be one of those things that just never gets done because it's too big to pull in and it will take away too many features. But like, if it was something that I just tinkered with and jumped in and out of over like a month, and then at the end of it went, oh, there we go, I've got to finish this now. Let's put it through as a testing process. Like put it through the test process. I've just tinkered with it in the downtime, effectively, in between meetings or whatever. And I guess it's partially because we're in this weird limbo because we haven't officially started a sprint yet. We've just been finishing off the tail end of another sprint as we took over the team. And usually you don't get much of this downtime, but I'm like, I feel like by adding the process, you've almost lost the stuff you kind of got because people were bored and they just like tinkered with something in their spare time, you know? Like literally spare time. I find it interesting. Interesting that I've always wanted somewhere to care about that kind of stuff. And then got it and I'm like, oh, that means that I can't just kind of, because they care about what work we're doing and they're valuing 2 different types of work, me picking something that's part of this stream but isn't being prioritised, they don't want, which is odd because like in theory, that isn't effectively any of their business. Like in theory, I could pick anything in that chart, you know what I mean? Like the business has no value on that. We've decided the artificial value on these things. But yeah, it's just interesting. Anyway, it's bedtime. And we are back at the, well, that was yesterday's video, wasn't it? We're back at the doctor's. Laura's getting treatment for her leg. She's got a blood clot in her leg, so she's getting treatment for it now. Don't know what that means. I don't think she's going to be very long. I've already been to one meeting while she's sat in the car waiting with me. Been to one meeting. I've got another meeting at 10, which I might have to be in while I'm driving. It's going to be fun. But yeah, they know that I'm out and about. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be okay. We don't know what this entails. We don't know like what treatment she's going to do, how long it is. We're assuming it's just going to be, I think it'll be an injection and then more tablets for blood thinners. That's what I reckon. Hopefully it's that, anything. I don't think they can do anything more serious at a place like this because it's effectively like an outreach area, you know, that usually do, by the looks of it, chiropractic. Like back pain and shit, which isn't DVT. So, but yeah, that's me. Like I say, otherwise I am just in meetings and stuff. I've got my laptop in the back, but I've got no internet, so I'm relatively limited in what I can do. And the one thing I was doing, I'm not supposed to be doing because it's not prioritised. So, whoopsie. I mean, I can carry on doing that. I might carry on doing that. So, who knows? I've got a meeting in 10 minutes. Thankfully, no weird treatment required. Laura's just going to the pharmacy now to go pick up some more tablets. And I'm back to work. I was driving back in that meeting. And I'm like, every now and again, just dobbing the thing so I can talk, and Laura to dob the voice thing. I'm getting lost because I don't have the map on my screen because I need to have Teams open. It was good fun. It was an absolute hoot. And then as I get back, turn my computer on, log in via Teams on my computer, meeting ends. God damn it. And another day bites the dust, ladies and gentlemen. We're in this weird limbo between sprints, like I say. So today was relatively like low on code, but we had like a few sessions booked in at the end of our definition of done and definition of ready meetings. And a weird meeting that was like defined around team agreements, which is like kind of brainstorming like a code of conduct for how we want to work together, which was the weirdest meeting I've ever been in, but it It was all right fun. I have been looking into a long-running end-to-end test that's been failing. My suspicion is that it's failing because of an ordering issue, where like it's coming out in a slightly different order to as expected it in. That's my suspicion, but that's what I'm looking into. It's having fun. Otherwise, this evening, me and Laura had Domino's pizza to, because of Laura's leg. She's been brave. Any excuse. And then otherwise, we've been trying to develop a quiz for our turn of hosting the quiz. It's hard. It's very hard. But we're trying our level best. Everyone else who's done it have done like categories, like a geography. Everyone's done a flag round. There's a geography round, there's history rounds, there's sport rounds all the time. And we're trying to be a bit more jazzy than that, you know? We don't want to do anything cliche like that. So we're trying to figure out what is around it. I wanted to do a kind of like general ignorance round of like common misconceptions, like QI-esque. But it's really difficult to find things where like there is an obvious answer, but this one is actually correct, where this one hasn't been like debunked or changed over time. So like there's one about like states in America, where 4 states are commonwealths, but they're commonwealth states, and I can't figure out whether or not that means they're technically a state, you know? And I'm not here to start debates. So Laura reminded me about how I was trying to learn Mario on the flute, right? And I reminded myself of this boy when he does Inspector Gadget, and it's absolutely sick. But this is fast as fuck. That's madness. Right? I can't do that. That's crazy. But I want to be able to do it. These like, is like, and then you go down every single freaking note. It's mental. I can't go anywhere near that fast. Oh, and it's not a simple freaking stave either. Stave? Yeah. So that TR with a wiggle on it is changing from to like that. It's really fucking difficult. So look. Well, I'll pitch up because it's easier. And he's doing it while beatboxing, mate. And I'm cheating there by doing a G, which is easier than an E. I need to practice doing that, but that is annoying. And while doing it still. Come on now. Jesus Christ. So Laura's upstairs doing uni work, so I'm gonna give it a break. Alright boys, I need to renew my membership in the Billy Big Bollocks Club, right? Because our ginger beer. We've now bottled up the ginger beer into these bottles, and this is what's known by, well, I don't know in the trade, but by Bradley Owen from Bon Appetit as second fermentation. Now the point at this point, it's 4 days like this, is the gases that are being created, the yeast is still in there, eating the sugars in the ginger beer, and that's generating gas, carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide gets released, put into the bottle, and the bottle's job is to basically force that gas back into the liquid, and it makes it fizzy, basically. The instructions say, what does it say? Put it in plastic bottles, should be ready to drink in 4 days. If it's left longer, periodically check the bottles for excessive pressure build. Right. But if the pressure builds too high, by the sounds of that, you could literally leave it for 4 days. They could explode. Like, you can buy like glass jars that have like a special air valve, like a one-way valve system at the top that releases pressure at the right levels and stuff. And you can't just use like any old jars. Like, you couldn't use something like this because of like any kind of seam in it makes it weak. It needs to be like proper graded, otherwise you basically just make a grenade. But by the sounds of that, you could leave it 4 days. without opening the cap. It's odd because the videos I've watched on how to do this, apart from the instructions on this thing, use like fresh ginger and stuff, and it's like fresh fermentation, which is a bit different to this, which is just like ground ginger. It's basically flavouring, you know. There isn't anything rotting there, it's just yeast, effectively. Interesting. But yeah, so I'm not sure how often to burp it. I feel like I should burp it every day. Let's open one up, shall we? See how much. Right, go on, let's try. I mean, like, you can see how much it's ballooned out compared to an empty bowl next to it. See that? It looks complete. It's like gone straight out. Oh man. Okay, let's try. Oh my god. Can't find anywhere to put you down to film this. I'm trying my best. Okay. Right. How much gas? If it goes pff, like that, we need to burp it more often. Good God. Right, that's a lot of gas. Let's burp it more often. The hard part is that you want the gas. Like, you know? Like, it having a lot of gas in it is a good thing. But I also don't want to have to clean up exploded ginger beer. Next time I do this, I'm going to get proper jars, and then I can just relax about it and not worry about it, you know? I feel like Brad goes back to it on a daily basis and burps it. So I'm going to try that. What I'm going to do, obviously it's been in for like half a day now, 12 till 12, quite literally. So tomorrow at 12 o'clock again, I'll burp it, and then we'll see, maybe go for 24 hours instead of 12 hours. Maybe, I don't know. Otherwise, today we did refinement and some planning. It's clear that I'm quite a lot more, I'd call it agile than other people, which is a favourable term for me, being like, I'm much more in favour of kind of stepping on the gas and being like, let's deliver value quickly. I like the kind of, the approach where you like, provide value. So we entered this scenario where two things, we needed to get data somewhere, and then we needed to use that data to process something. There are some questions about this data. There's some minor risks. I thought what would be appropriate, because the data very rarely changes, and I mean, like, it's the kind of data where we'd know in the news if it changed. So we'd know. If this data both changes and gets provided to us in a different format that we don't recognise, then in theory, we wouldn't be doing what we're supposed to be doing with things that fall under that bracket of that data. I'm trying to be vague here. So what I was kind of saying was, we just do that. If we don't recognise it, we save it as null, and then have a third story here, this one, that basically sets up some kind of monitoring which raises a flag to say that's happened, and then we can catch them as they arise, right? So I've effectively gone, get the data, process the data, have a flag to make sure that the get data thing hasn't broken. And that's basically like a daily script. It updates every day, so it'll be like a daily script to make sure it all went all right. Or, if appropriate, it emits an event that says, yo, that didn't quite work. And then we can add them to a message bus and have humans intervention, and then we can either manually fix, or we can set up a process that catches that scenario. That's what I thought would be okay. That wasn't okay. So instead we were like, right, so we're not going to do the first bit, because we're going to go talk to this other company that's giving us data, see if they can clarify the data source. I don't think they're going to be able to, just because of the nature of what that company is. I've worked with companies like that before. They're horrendous. So we're like, fine, we'll hold off on this one till we talk to them. We'll assume that we're going to do it, and it's going to go into a certain place. We're going to hold back on doing the actual work to put it there, right? So we can do the process of data. There won't be any data to process until we put the data there, but we'll pretend the data's there, and then do it from that. And I was like, well, if this list of data we're getting is relatively small, we're talking like less than 10, and at the moment we're using 0. So I was like, well, if we're waiting for this other thing to happen, because there's a chance very slight chance that this data source that we're currently using isn't appropriate. We might have to either do our own or buy the data from somewhere else. More likely do our own. So I was like, why don't we just hard code it with the data we need to know, bearing in mind that something has to happen in the news for us to know to change it. And that by the time we've booked a phone call with this company and we have an answer on this, then we are able to, does that make sense? Basically, we could literally hard code it into the platform, not even drive it from a config file, because the chances are we'll just end up deleting the config file. That's too much work. So really bare bones if statement, these 5 different things that we know is definitely true. That's 5 more than we currently have, and we could get that out in moments because it's just standard hard-coded code. Yes, it's hard-coded code and it's filthy, but this thing's coming to remove it. There's no point building a second solution to remove it because it's a waste of effort. But it isn't a waste of effort just to do a hard-code list, you know? That isn't that's how my mind works. So I think that's quite agile, because it's like we're delivering value as soon as possible with a load of unknowns and building it in a way where we can add in the unknowns later without wasting time and effort now, and without holding up, right? But these guys are a lot more like careful and like we need to know everything before we do stuff. Which is like a personality trait thing. I remember a couple of jobs ago, my friend who's got a baby, he was a lot more onto the agile side than I was. And I feel like I'm still in the same position as I always was. Like he would do this, but not put any error handling in at all. And then do the error handling as a second deliverable. Whereas I'd be like, let's do it with basic error handling. But these guys are like here. And I used to be like here and here. And now I'm here, they're there, and he's there. I'm not used to being on that side. But anyway, that's by the way. I'm also a weird blend because I'm like agile, get it out the door, but make sure it's really well tested. That's rare, very rare. Anyway, that's by the by. But it's an interesting like personality thing. We're also doing like sizing and estimation of stories, and that's a really like interesting insight into how optimistic people are because we know very little about the code base because obviously we've only been there for like 3 weeks, sorry. And this will be the first code that we've actually released on it on our own. So there's loads of unknowns, but we're sizing things without really agreeing a number scheme because at the end of the sprint we'll do a retro and figure out like what did our estimate hit right for this. Okay, cool. That becomes a new 5, let's say. There's something that went through and I'm like, well, that's a 3. That's update mappers. That's a 3. And I think that's me being generous. And then they're like at a 5 and an 8. And I'm like, okay, we'll get there. But we'll see. I feel like I'm doing a lot of the driving. And I'm not sure if it's because I think I'm like one of the most outgoing. There's 2 of us that seem to do a lot of the driving. And it's hard to tell on video whether or not you're kind of talking over people because not everyone has video up, especially when you're presenting a screen. And I'm the scribe. I'm effectively the guy who's plugged his laptop into the projector in the meeting room. In a meeting room, you can figure out kind of when someone wants to talk, but you can't do that on Teams. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to balance. You have to keep being like, has anyone got any inputs? Are we missing anything? Do we want to split this up? Is this right? But it's good fun. Starting the sprint tomorrow. We're having like a huddle as we're doing something in Azure and we're all going to swarm it on one person's computer. That's going to be fun. Anyway, I need to go to bed. It's nearly midnight. This is a long video, but let's keep it going. You know, let's not keep it going. This is a good video. I feel like this is a good video. It's long. It's already long. It's 40 minutes. Definitely stop it here. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you later.